There is a quiet certainty settling over your home today, a sense that something unseen has been signed, sealed, and directed toward the rooms where you live, pray, and wait. This Monday, August 25th, carries a weight that feels different from ordinary days, as if heaven leaned close and whispered that a blessing has been assigned to your household, not as a vague hope, but as a specific promise waiting for your response. You may have noticed it in the way your chest loosens when you think about your family, or in the sudden clarity that rises when you imagine your home as a place of protection and peace. The title you carry is not accidental. You are among the chosen ones, not because you are superior, but because you have been entrusted with a responsibility that others may not yet see. There is a reason this message found you at this exact hour, and there is a reason your spirit leans forward when you hear that God has signed a blessing for your house. You have walked through seasons where it felt as though nothing was changing, where prayers seemed to echo without answers, and where the silence made you wonder if you had been overlooked. Yet here you are, on this 25th of August, sensing that something is shifting beneath the surface of your ordinary routine. The hardest part may not be waiting, but not knowing what the waiting means, or whether you are being asked to hold steady, release something old, or step into a new assignment. If you have felt that tension, you are not alone, and there is a resource designed to help you name the season you are living and understand why it feels so significant. The Secret Calendar of the Chosen was created for moments exactly like this, when you sense change but need language and direction to move through it with faith instead of fear. To access the ebook, go now to the top of the comments and click the link in the pinned comment. As you consider that, notice how your breath slows when you allow yourself to believe that this day might be a marker rather than another ordinary Monday. Your home has been the stage for quiet battles you never announced, for prayers whispered over bills, for tears shed in the shower when no one could hear, for hands trembling while holding a phone that carried difficult news. You have stood in doorways hesitating before entering. You have sat at tables where conversations ended in silence, and you have watched the same worries return like seasons you cannot escape. This is not a sign that you are failing. It is evidence that you have been carrying weight that was never meant to be yours alone. There is a blessing signed for your house, but it requires you to recognize the difference between what is yours to carry and what belongs to God. The promise is not that every struggle disappears today, but that you will begin to see your home through a different lens, one where protection, peace, and purpose are not distant ideas, but present realities you can steward. Imagine waking tomorrow and feeling a new lightness in your shoulders as you walk through your kitchen, the coffee cooling while you pray a simple prayer of gratitude. Picture yourself closing a door at night with a sense of completion rather than dread, knowing that what happens inside your walls is covered by something greater than your anxiety. Envision a conversation where you respond with patience instead of reaction, where your words carry grace because your heart has been reminded that you are not fighting alone. These are not fantasies. They are the natural fruit of a heart that stops interpreting every silence as abandonment and starts recognizing the quiet ways God prepares what He has promised. You are being invited to take possession not through force, but through faithful attention to the signals already present in your days. Many people have walked through similar seasons, sensing that something was forming but unable to name it, and they found clarity in structured reflection that helped them distinguish waiting from preparation, closure from redirection, and fear from genuine caution. The Secret Calendar of the Chosen offers a framework for this kind of discernment, guiding you through questions and practices that organize your prayers and steady your steps without promising instant miracles or guaranteed outcomes. Many readers who arrived feeling confused or tired of waiting said the material helped them understand their season more clearly, organize their prayers, or stop interpreting every silence as abandonment. To access the ebook, go now to the top of the comments and click the link in the pinned comment. As you consider this, remember that clarity is not the same as certainty, but it is often the first gift that allows you to move with more confidence and less panic. There is an opposition that does not want you to recognize this blessing, not because it can cancel what God has signed, but because it knows that confusion keeps you from stepping into what is already yours. This opposition shows up as distraction, as the urge to scroll when you should be still, as the voice that says you are too late or too broken or too ordinary to receive anything meaningful. It whispers that your home is just a house, that your family is just a collection of people, that your prayers are just words disappearing into the air. But you know better, even if that knowledge feels fragile at times. You know that there is something sacred about the space where you live, something set apart about the people you love, and something powerful about the prayers you offer when no one else is listening. Think of Joseph, who spent years in places that felt like delays, yet every season was forming him for a role he could not have imagined while he was in the pit or the prison. He did not know the full story while he was serving in someone else's house, but his faithfulness in small things prepared him for stewardship over an entire nation. Your home may feel like a small assignment compared to what you imagine blessing should look like, but God often begins with what is close, with the rooms you clean, the people you feed, the conversations you navigate, the boundaries you set. What you steward here is not less important because it is ordinary. It is the training ground for everything that follows. The blessing signed for your house is not just about comfort. It is about preparation for a wider assignment that begins where you are. If you ignore this signal, if you dismiss this day as just another Monday, you risk hardening your attention to the point where future whispers become harder to hear. This is not a threat, but a gentle warning that repeated cycles of confusion can make you tired in a way that dulls your spiritual senses. You may find yourself reacting from panic instead of responding from peace, interpreting every delay as rejection, and missing the quiet ways God is already moving. The cost is not that you lose your place among the chosen, but that you delay your own peace, your own clarity, your own ability to rest in what has already been signed. There is mercy in this warning, because it invites you to choose differently before the pattern becomes a prison. This is why today matters, why August 25th is not just a date on a calendar, but a marker of recognition, a reminder that you are seen, and that your home is covered by a promise that does not depend on your performance. If this message has resonated with you, if you feel a quiet agreement rising in your spirit, type 888 in the comments as a simple confirmation that you are paying attention and you are ready to receive what is being offered. Do not overthink it. Let it be a small act of alignment, a way of saying that you are choosing to believe that something good is being directed toward your household. Then return your attention to these words, because there is more to uncover about what it means to take possession without forcing or striving. The root of your hesitation may not be external at all, but an internal pattern that has learned to equate safety with silence, protection with invisibility, and faithfulness with suffering. You may have been taught that blessing is suspicious, that ease is dangerous, that peace is a prelude to disappointment. This is not your fault. It is a survival strategy that served you in seasons where visibility brought harm or where hope was met with loss. But you are not in that season anymore, and the blessing signed for your house is not a trap. It is an invitation to live differently, to receive without apology, to steward without fear. Recognizing this pattern does not erase it instantly, but it loosens its grip enough for you to choose a new response. Recognition alone is not enough. You need practical companionship for the days when clarity feels fragile and old fears try to reclaim their authority. The secret calendar of the chosen was designed to walk with you through these transitions, offering guided reflection, prayer prompts, and discernment practices that help you identify the next faithful step without panic or passivity. This is why many readers return to these pages when they enter a new season, because they find not just inspiration, but application, not just comfort, but direction. To access the ebook, go now to the top of the comments and click the link in the pinned comment. As you consider this, remember that taking possession is not a single moment, but a series of small choices that align your days with what you believe. Your mind may still be reasoning through every possibility, weighing risks, calculating outcomes, and asking whether it is safe to believe. Your body may be reacting with tension, with a tight chest or a tired jaw that remembers seasons where hope led to hurt. But your spirit knows something different. It recognizes the tone of this message, the weight of this date, the quiet authority that says your home is covered. There is a difference between reasoning that protects you from recklessness and reasoning that keeps you from receiving. There is a difference between bodily caution that honors past wounds and bodily tension that refuses to believe healing is possible. You are being invited to let your spirit lead, to let your mind follow, and to let your body learn that it is safe to relax into what God has signed. This discernment extends to your relationships and environments, to the people who enter your home, and the voices you allow to shape your inner world. You do not need to become suspicious of everyone, but you do need to become selective about what you welcome into the space where you live and pray. There are conversations that drain you, habits that dull you, and commitments that scatter you, and part of taking possession is creating boundaries that protect the blessing already assigned to your house. This is not isolation, it is stewardship, a way of honoring what God has entrusted to you by refusing to let lesser things consume the energy meant for higher purposes. Your home is not a public square, it is a sanctuary, and you are the gatekeeper. The opposition knows this, which is why it floods your days with noise, fatigue, delay, and lesser urgencies that keep you from pausing long enough to recognize what is forming. It does not need to destroy your faith. It only needs to distract you until the moment passes, until the signal fades, until you forget that August 25th carried a specific invitation. But you are remembering now, and remembrance is the first act of taking possession. You are choosing to believe that your attention matters, that your prayers are not wasted, that your home is not just a collection of walls, but a place where heaven leans close. This is not superstition. It is the natural posture of someone who knows they are chosen for stewardship rather than superiority. There comes a point when you stop negotiating with the truth that your home is covered, when you stop asking whether you deserve it and start asking how you will honor it. This is the turning point, the moment when you move from wondering to receiving, from hesitation to stewardship, from fear to faithful action. It does not require a grand gesture. It requires a simple agreement that what God has signed is more real than what your anxiety claims. You are not earning this blessing, you are acknowledging it, and in that acknowledgement you create space for it to manifest in ways that are practical, tangible, and peace-filled. This is the heart of taking possession, not forcing, but receiving, not striving, but stewarding. Imagine your home as a garden that has been prepared in secret, where seeds have been planted beneath the soil long before you saw any green breaking through. For seasons, it may have looked like nothing was happening, like the ground was barren, like the waiting was pointless. But beneath the surface, roots were forming, drawing nourishment, anchoring themselves in ways that would support what was meant to grow. This is what has been happening in your household. Not visibly, but truly, not loudly, but deeply. The blessing signed for your house is not a sudden insertion. It is the emergence of what has been forming all along. Within this garden, there has been hidden development, a preservation of what matters, even when the outer circumstances looked chaotic or uncertain. You may not have seen it, but God has been protecting the core of what He intends to bring forth, shielding it from winds that would have uprooted it prematurely. This is why some doors closed, why some people left, why some plans failed, not as punishment but as protection, creating the conditions where what is meant to flourish can do so without being choked by lesser things. Your faithfulness in the hidden seasons was not unnoticed. It was the soil preparation for what is now ready to emerge. The opposition within this garden has been the weight of stones placed over the seeds, the shadows that tried to convince you that nothing would ever break through, the drought that made you question whether planting was worth the effort. But stones can be rolled away, shadows cannot block the sun forever, and drought eventually gives way to rain. You are in the season where the covering is being lifted, not because you earned it, but because the time has come for what was planted to rise. This is not your work alone. It is the natural result of what God has been doing beneath the surface while you were faithful in the small things. Now the garden begins to move, not in a dramatic explosion, but in the quiet certainty of green breaking through soil, of stems reaching toward light, of buds opening in their proper time. This is the movement of the blessing signed for your house, a steady emergence that cannot be rushed but also cannot be stopped. You are not forcing it. You are witnessing it, tending to it, removing what would choke it, and watering it with prayers that align with what God has already initiated. This is what it means to take possession, to partner with what is already growing, to create conditions where it can flourish, to trust the timing even when it feels slower than you would prefer. There comes a moment when you recognize the garden for what it is, when you stop apologizing for its beauty and start stewarding its fruit. If this image has resonated with you, if you can see your home as a place where something sacred has been forming, type "I'm ready" in the comments as a declaration that you are prepared to tend what God is bringing forth. This is not a performance. It is an acknowledgement, a way of saying that you see what is happening and you are choosing to participate with faith and attention. Then return to these words, because recognition must lead to practice, and practice must lead to peace. The garden is not a metaphor that ends when the message does. It is a lens through which you can view your daily choices, your conversations, your boundaries, your prayers. Returning to the title, you are among the chosen ones, not because you are exempt from work, but because you have been entrusted with a garden that others may not yet see. Taking possession means walking through your home with the awareness that something is growing, that your attention matters, that your stewardship is part of how God brings forth what He has signed. This is not pressure, it is privilege, a quiet honor that changes how you live without demanding that you become someone you are not. When concrete practice is to begin each morning by walking through your home and speaking a simple blessing over each room, not as a formula, but as an acknowledgement that God's presence covers what happens there. You might say, "Peace dwell here," or "Grace fill this space," or "Protection surround this room," letting the words be gentle rather than forceful. This is not magic, it is alignment, a way of training your attention to see your home as sacred ground where God's blessing is already present and active. Over time, this practice changes how you move through your days, how you respond to conflict, how you receive guests, how you rest at night. Another practice is to create a threshold pause, a moment of stillness before you enter or leave your home, where you stop and remember that you are crossing into or out of a sanctuary. This could be as simple as placing your hand on the door and breathing once, or saying a short prayer of gratitude, or simply noticing the weight of the moment. This pause is not about adding another task. It is about creating a rhythm that reminds you that your home is set apart, that what happens inside matters, that you are a steward of something greater than your daily routine. Over time, this practice builds a sense of reverence that protects the blessing from being treated as ordinary. Part of taking possession is also learning the mercy of limits, the wisdom of closed doors, the peace that comes from saying no to what would scatter your energy or dilute your attention. This is not rejection, it is protection, a way of honoring the garden by refusing to let everything and everyone enter without discernment. You may need to change rhythms, to create silence windows, to step back from commitments that drain you, to protect the time and space where God is forming something in your household. This is not selfishness. It is stewardship, a recognition that you cannot tend what you do not protect. There is a decision before you, not a grand one, but a clear one, to stop interpreting every silence as abandonment and start recognizing the quiet ways God is already moving in your home. This decision does not require you to have all the answers. It requires you to choose peace over panic, trust over fear, stewardship over striving. You may not see the full picture today, but you can choose to believe that what God has signed is more real than what your anxiety claims. This is the heart of taking possession, a simple agreement that allows you to rest in what is already yours. If this message has brought you a sense of peace, if you feel a quiet amen rising in your spirit, let your like on this message be that silent amen, a wordless agreement that what has been spoken resonates with something true in you. This is not about metrics or algorithms. It is about creating a moment of connection between what you feel and what you express, a small act of alignment that honors the recognition you have received. Then let that peace settle, because there is still one more step that turns recognition into delivery. 2. There is someone who came to mind while you were listening, someone whose home also needs this reminder, someone who has been carrying weight without knowing that a blessing has been signed for their household as well. Share this message with them, not as pressure but as care, as a way of saying that you see them and you believe they need to hear this too. This is not about growing an audience. It is about delivering peace to someone who may be waiting for exactly this word, someone whose garden is also ready to emerge. Let your sharing be an act of love, not obligation, and trust that it will find the right person at the right time. There is an identity that you are being invited to claim, not as a title of superiority, but as a calling to stewardship, a recognition that you are chosen for responsibility rather than privilege. If you feel this agreement in your spirit, type "I belong to God" in the comments as a declaration that your home, your life, and your future are covered by a promise that does not depend on your performance. This is not a wish, it is a confirmation, a way of anchoring your heart in what is already true, even if your circumstances have not yet caught up. Let these words be a seal, not a spell, a simple acknowledgement that allows you to rest in what God has already signed. You have walked through pain that tried to convince you that you were overlooked, but you have also learned to recognize the signals that say you are seen. You have carried weight that was never meant to be yours alone, but you have also discovered the peace that comes from stewarding what God has entrusted to you. You have faced opposition that tried to distract you, but you have also found the clarity that comes from remembering that your home is covered. You have tended a garden in secret, but you have also witnessed the emergence of what God has been forming beneath the surface. You have made decisions that felt small, but you have also trusted that they were part of a larger story. You have paused at thresholds, but you have also crossed into spaces where peace was waiting. You have shared with someone who came to mind, but you have also received the care of someone who shared with you. You have typed words that felt simple, but you have also anchored your heart in truths that will hold you when the winds rise. This is the synthesis. Not a list, but a life. Not a performance, but a return. Not a striving, but a stewardship. May your home be a sanctuary where peace dwells and grace abounds. May your household be covered by protection that does not depend on your vigilance. May your prayers be heard and your stewardship be honored. May your garden flourish and your fruit be sweet. May your thresholds be sacred and your rooms be filled with presence. May your boundaries be wise and your rest be deep. May your recognition lead to practice and your practice lead to peace. May your sharing be an act of love and your receiving be an act of trust. May your identity be anchored and your calling be clear. May your home be a place where heaven leans close and where God's signed blessing is lived out in ordinary, tangible ways. Across the world, others are hearing this same whisper, recognizing the same signal, tending the same kind of garden, and stepping into the same kind of stewardship. You are not alone. You are among the chosen ones, and your home is covered. It is sealed.